Lekker.
The Babbling Heads podcast.
Arsenic on the beat.
Loud and
Babbling
mercy.
Heads podcast.
Yo, what's up? This is the Base 187. Welcome to the Babbling Heads podcast.
I'm DJ Fingaz. JoeZone.
Charlie X2C.
Yo, and this week we are welcoming Earl Mentor. His profile says facilitator, coach, Peace Jam, South African affiliate coordinator, author, global speaker, and mentor. But one thing is missing over there. Where's the MC?
Yeah, I think that ended when I got married, brother.
Priorities.
Yeah, shifted a bit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Check here. I think let's as always we when we have a new guest on, we say give the your brief history of where you started. Je kan zo ver gaan as je wil. So we get to know the real you know.
Away.
You can pull that back if you want to, no?
No
The mic.
Okay, towards me, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, born and bred in Ocean View, aka Slankop.
We've got something in common.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the we call it the so-called last colored place on the map, on the tip of Africa,
deep
adjacent to Komiki and Imo Farm.
Yeah.
I'm 40 years old, actively involved in my communities, advocating for social justice. I do a lot of racial equity work and just speaking up against the injustices that affects disenfranchised people.
Oh, man.
Okay, I think let's start with your work at the Peace Jam. Let's unpack that, how it started and why it started and just what the organization is all about.
For sure. I've worked for Desmond Tutu for a number of years. About 8 years. I was writing, planning, initiating youth empowerment programs, and I head up the sports and recreation component of his youth center, right? And from there, I transitioned into the role of South African affiliate coordinator for Peace Jam Foundation. And how that happened, the founder and director of Peace Jam Foundation, based in Denver, Colorado, in the US, approached me, witness firsthand the work that we were pushing out at the youth center at the time, about a few years ago. And she shot a documentary to help amplify the work and legacy of Desmond Tutu. And I was featured in that documentary called Children of the Light. And from there, she approached me and she requested me to step into the role of South African affiliate coordinator. And what that simply means is to help amplify the work and legacy of 40 Nobel Peace Laureates who pass on their skills, their wisdom and their spirit they embody in order to bring about positive change.
It's quite a monumental.
That's awesome.
Sure. Thank you, man.
It's good.
Fortunate enough.
So, prior to that, however, like I mentioned, the MC component, you worked a lot with also in the youth empowerment field with 783 movement.
Yep.
I think, were you instrumental in creating that?
Yeah, I'm the co-founder of the 783 hip-hop movement, yeah.
Yeah. So, how did that assist? Because the youth in Ocean View, by giving them a voice, like in the MC realm, dance, etc. What all did you guys do?
That's exactly that, giving the youngings a voice,
Yeah.
to step on stage and really share their narrative through rhyme and poetry. And how that came about is that actually I was an avid, reader of poetry and books that really speaks to the trauma we have faced as a community, as a people, and how I could step into that role to try and transform society to help unlearn our negative conditioning and using hip-hop as a means of engaging people positively. And that's the foundation. And I thought hip-hop was play an instrumental role in my advancement in terms of my consciousness and how I view myself and my environment.
Yeah. You seem to have a very introspective way of thinking and grasping at things. Like, have you always had this way? And when did you start to be so introspective and look at like yourself in order to sort of find the I don't know if it's the answers or something like that. But yeah, were you always that way?
Not always, brother.
What changed you? What made you? What sparked the change?
I actually want to just my question is similar. Like you said, you grew up in Grassy Park, right? Like if everybody grew up and to be you, we wouldn't have the problem.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have social ills and stuff like that. So you said you went to Fairmount. Like normally, like I say, our general, any youth or any race does not become you.
Yeah.
So where does that, what the question that's similar to him is, where does that come from? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Powerful question. You know, I've been almost most of my childhood and adult life very unconscious. I was a kind of a hurting person. You know, I carried the baggage of my parents that in terms of the trauma, they raised me with their trauma. And I think I took on board a lot of my parents' baggage and I navigated through these challenges in my life, trying to find the love that I was seeking that I could not find at home. Actually, I only stayed 3 years in Grassy Park because I've had to leave Ocean View in order for me to try and find sensible ways to be more and do more. And I lived with different guardians, always seeking the love that I could not find in my life.
What age was that?
I left my home. Actually, how it happened, I left my childhood home at 12 years old. Stayed with my grandma until 16. And from 16, I came to Grassy Park to finish matric at Fairmount High. Always moving in different areas, you know, and engaging. Just to answer your question, it was a challenging process for me to heal from my past trauma. And in order for me to heal from my past trauma, I've had to shift my perspective, have to lift the baggages I've carried for so long and make the executive decision to say, I want to be the change I want to see, man, and not perpetuate the trauma in my life. And in order for me to do that, I've had to make that decision not to continue the legacy that my parents and my grandparents have left.
What would you, when you're speaking about the trauma now, what would you assign the main cause of the trauma to be that came from generational?
Yeah, bro, good question. You know, and this is what we try and do in our peace building work, because peace building is never passive. We need to have the uncomfortable dialogue. Now, I understood, and where that shift happened in my life, the positive transformations, when I understood why my parents was hurting. They haven't had the opportunity to really manage and unlearn the trauma, because the perpetuation of structural racism, the segregation is still dominant. And my mother still works in the area she was forced out of as a domestic worker up until today. Now that triggers have had to come home, you know, and we've had to deal with that triggers. And how we responded always negatively. And we couldn't see a way out. So restitution, my brother,
That's very good.
because the places that we were forced out is a stone throw away. We still see the land.
I like the way you're looking at it though. You're still taking ownership. You know what I mean? In the bigger scheme of things, you still seem to be taking ownership of that before maybe pointing the finger at others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, there is a reason why those things happen, but
Yeah.
you need to take ownership first
For sure.
of yourself before going out there and doing other things.
Well said, brother. 100% the responsibility of my life, my decisions, you know, and I need to own up to it.
Funny enough, no, my parents stayed in, I don't think they owned, they stayed in Simonstown
Yeah.
when they were removed to Ocean View
Yeah.
because of that
Yeah.
apartheid crap. So
Yeah.
that's how they got there. But it wasn't so dramatic because it wasn't their birthplace, man. You know what I'm saying? They're from Kimberley, so
Okay.
so even that like the way he told me back
Yeah.
in the day, it was still trauma because you can't stay where you want to stay. Now imagine you stay, you're losing your land where your parents came from, your great grandfather was, you know what I'm saying? So that in itself, it's quite a hectic experience. Then, so. Check it. I wanna go into the mentor aspect itself. Because recently I started working with Hildewood and I see how hip hop can change, DJing particularly. I personally can see that how it can change the lighties and how they engage. And what made you choose to go the mentor route in particular?
My surname is Mentor on my ID. You know, I try to live up to that surname. You know, I've seen a lot of hurt and despair, man, in my life and in the life of others, right? And I felt compelled to step into the role, to share my narrative, my truth, to stand in my truth and speak to win. And what I mean by speaking to win is to show my vulnerability as a male. You know, to share the narrative of the male psyche in our communities and how hurting boys and hurting men are still perpetuating the violence within our high-risk communities.
Yeah.
To show them, to mentor them that there's a flip side to that, man. That we are born for greatness. That we need to start realizing our worth and value as a people. And that is a seed that we need to plant, and that seed grows after its kind.
Yeah.
And that's my mentorship process. Speak my truth, speak my narrative. This is who I am, and I show up authentically where I can.
What do you do when you have a youth that doesn't really as harakat, man. He wants his way type of thing, and you can't get through to him. Because I'm just thinking personally when I get a student that you get the ones that want to learn, but he wants to, but it's harakat, and you know what I'm saying? How do you get through to that? This is just me asking how to handle it, man, going forward.
Good question. You know, is that high fruits that we can't reach, that we really need to reach, right? And just based on that young kid, highlighted, it's a story, man. That kid got a story, but that kid don't have that opportunity to really speak his truth, speak his hurt. Because, you know what I mean? We need to create a circle of influence for that lighting in order for him to find his power again, find his voice. Because when he leaves your space, he goes into a space where he now needs to survive and navigate through the struggle that he faced. So there's a story, there's hurt that needs to be, you know, nurtured in a way that counters what's happening at home.
I'm actually discovering my nurturing side now.
Why?
Something that wat ek oplet met Dibra, my bro. Dibra is kwaai met lighties, my bro.
Yeah, I follow him.
I admire him. Kyk jy, hy kon een keer my toe sê my, "Nee, die lightie wil nou hy moet sit vir hom met die DJing, man."
Ja.
Toe sê my na die lighties, ek kan mos nie spoor vertel, ons moet die name wat ek gebruik nie. Toe sê na die lighties se maat hom gesê, "Ja, hy kan nie DJ nie, man."
Ja.
En toe hy gehuil nou voor die dink nie voor die lighties whatever, maar hy's hartseer, man. Toe sê ek, "Nee, bring my ou into wat ek vir hom leer, man."
Ja.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to you discover parts of yourself that you actually not forgot, but you don't use it that much in society because society is so hard. So you don't want to show your vulnerable side so much. But now you have to show it because hulle is so klein, man, and so hulle is so dierbaar, man. So you can't really just come in there being wild and whatever. You have to give that nurturing side to them, and they respond better to it, actually.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this giving the information, the little information that I have, that I give to them, but I'm receiving also, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's really, it's a give and take, man.
True, bruh.
You know what I'm
True.
saying? I'm enjoying this.
What a lot of people also don't understand, and even this camp boils down to some of the facilitators, is that every child is different.
Yeah.
You can't approach everybody, and society does it.
Yeah.
Like with the blanket thing. The education system gives you a blanket way of doing things. But each person responds differently.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's moments, and that's where, case in point, where you can lose a child along the way.
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to be harrigat and the child's going to be harrigat, you'll get bots the whole time.
Yeah.
And then nobody's going to, but the child will only offer you like one opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you turn them away, they're going to say, fuck this.
Yeah.
And you can completely change the narrative of somebody's life.
Yeah.
The trajectory, like you don't know that the little seeds you plant, like you said, if you turn that kid away, if you don't empower them to tell the story, or you just, no, you don't want to listen, no, gaat uit die klas uit. That can actually, and the child comes and like, let me speak to, because they don't have the same tools
Oh, yeah.
that we have. We've learned this now along the way. In the process of growing up, we've matured. But at that age, they following certain stuff, what they're watching on TV, what they're seeing at home. And they just mimicking it in terms of behavior. But if we don't have that, you must be able to step back and say, look, okay, I was once in this position myself.
Yeah.
How do I handle it? And it's like, you can't just be like, nah, this is my way. It's like, I'm not a lighty.
Yeah, yeah.
They say to me, that lighty's got the same attitude.
Yeah.
I give them like a skit. Another thing that I've discovered is what I call intellect craze. And I also suffer I used to actually, where the opportunities there, now it's a bang. Now it's no. Wasn't even, no, let's mix. Now, no, you go first, you go
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Nou sê, okay, julle gaat nou. Nou, moet ek ons nou kans kry. Nou die eerste een ko in, die
Ja.
brave een ko in. Nou kom die rest in en nou die hulle.
Ja.
Nou kry hulle lekker. Nou moet ons nou weer met die dinge sê. Nou is het klaar nou. Ons moet net 'n uur. Nou is
Ja.
ons klaar. Nou sê, "Jo, kan ek gou again nou." Nou sê ek hulle sien ze nou. As hulle in die begin gekom het, dan is hulle nou meer kere gekry as wat hulle gekry het. So hulle leer hy vir die next time man.
Ja.
So next time as hulle kom weer as hulle sê, "Nee, me first." So ek kry daai at least uit hulle uit man. You know what I'm saying? So dis as 'n lekker the way they act actually directs how I teach them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Brilliant experience. for
Way
me.
to go, brother. Way to go.
Anybody a question? Ek het 'n question.
I got a question. Earl, do you have kids?
Nah, community kids, yeah. I'm under pressure by the family, yeah, but yeah, no kids. Been with my wife now 11 years, so
Okay.
yeah.
As
No way.
you brought up something interesting that I thought maybe we can speak about. It's like your parents were hurt, like, and maybe they put that hurt upon you in some way, in verbal or
Yeah.
physical. I don't know whichever way, and then maybe you felt you broke that going forward. Now, do you feel that way?
I'm still healing.
Okay, because in a certain way, there's certain things that is my parents had in my life,
Yeah.
that I sort of introduce to my children. That's not the best way of doing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, like, have you sort of got that figured out yet? Like that there's certain things that you don't want to have your kids do, man. You know what I mean? Or there's good things that I do. Like there's one thing my dad don't say I love you and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You know, it's a bit tough for him. He's
Yeah.
old school and stuff like that. But so he bought me like a busted bike. Like that was his way of telling me I love you and stuff like that. But in the case, I tell my children all the time, "Hey, I love you." I kiss them, I hug them and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I just wondered if you maybe broke that generational curse, they call it, like sort of like. I don't know if I have.
Can I say something on that, if there's
Yeah.
no problem? Like for me, right? My parents, I had to break the chain, man.
Yeah.
Because as a kid growing up, I never learned money management. I wasn't taught to save.
those type of things.
I wasn't like,
So many
you
of
know.
them.
So for me going forward, now I'm gonna teach my ladies, kyk, you need to save, man, and you need to work for what you want. You can't just expect everything to fall on your lap.
Boy.
Dis wat gebeur het, né? En nou dis hoe dit gaan change. En as hy nie wil my way follow nie, sy kan nie sê, sy kan jou direction vat. As hy my chain wil breek, dan vat jy dit. As hy dink jou way is beter, then you do it. You have to experience it. As dieselfde dings wat ek vir my motsu gesê het, like there's a difference between iets te kry en te werk voor iets, man.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I had to work to change, like to break the chains. Like, en nou benefit ik daarvan aan af. Verstaan, dus still nog, ik sukkel nog altijd met mijn money management and stuff like that, but still.
I was just gonna tell you now, Charlie, it's easier said than done. Like that was my point to you. Like you know what I mean. You've got certain things indoctrinated into you, and like that's why I asked you, do you have children right now? Like because it manifests at the weirdest times. Like you know what I mean. Like like you're under pressure. Like I've got 3 kids, so maybe it's a bit harder for me. Like but the 2 was putting pressure, and now you need to get to the 3rd one. So you maybe raise your voice in a way that you don't want to towards them. You know what I mean? And in that way, it's that generational curse maybe coming through again.
Nah, well said, bro. You know, just I don't have all the answers, right? I'm still trying to search my truth, right?
Yeah.
But I speak about the conditioning, man, that's deeply entrenched.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's layers upon layers.
Yeah.
When we speak about the work in the communities, layers upon layers of self-hate.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to transform that if you're not providing a safe space constantly.
Yes.
Look at our schools, bro. Look at our institutions in general. Our churches. There's over 300 churches in Ocean View alone.
Shit.
And we're not locking arms. You know, it's about...
Are you serious?
Yes, bruh. Ja, skole, huise, garage. You know? It says a lot about the competition. And competition is a big thing, is a big word. And just to track back what I'm saying, brother. You know, the conditioning when we are triggered unconsciously
Yes.
by events in our life.
Yes.
It's a seed of utility that was planted when you were young, man.
Yeah.
And futility is a seed.
indoctrinated.
Yes. The seed of worthlessness. Nee, sy sal dit nie maak nie, man.
Fokol weet.
Sy's fokol weet.
Sy's
Sy's net soos jou pa. Sy's net soos jou ma. Sy's 'n dronklap. You know, that label's when to go sit somewhere, my brother. You know? And unconsciously, we try to be the change we want to see, but we're not perfect, man. We're going to be triggered by people, places, and things all the time.
Yeah.
It's how our first thought when the events come. And sometimes it's unconscious. It's how we train, how we react to events in our life.
Exactly.
So that's a journey I'm on.
It's just to retrain that.
But I fail miserably.
It's just to retrain that and to train that muscle over and over again on how to react and to build up resistance to it. Like
Disrupt the narrative, man. Disrupt the lightest narrative, bro. Disrupt his narrative, how he view himself.
I also have like something. Like, Kagi, I always tease in this. I always say this, no? Like, although it's a pun, but I always say this, man. You're not a product of their creation. So do not allow them to label you.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Away.
So nobody can label you. You can only label yourself. And if you take how people label you so personally, that's gonna affect you on a psychological level, man. Because jy gaat yourself dan label en jy gaat yourself afbreek. It's almost like the birth of van die self-haat, man. The self-haat. Nobody, kyk, I have a choice, right? I have a choice to say, if Shaq now say I'm a puss. Like says fokol weet iets al. I have the choice, I have the option to take what he said personally and begin and internalize it and hate myself and then feel worthless. Or I can just say, oh, that's your opinion, but I don't give 2 shits about what you think. Do you understand? So
I know
who are you? You have to know who you are, man, and you have to know what your worth is. If you don't know what your worth is, and then obviously you're gonna hate yourself.
Bro.
You're always gonna doubt yourself as well.
Yeah, just based on that, because you highlighted a very important point. It happens from that labels come mostly from my first love, man. It comes mostly and mainly from my first love. And if a kid can't make sense of his environment, he's gonna absorb anything that comes his way, what he's been taught. And if a parent tells a child, label him negatively, he's gonna take that on board. And he's gonna perpetuate that in a life. But we can't disrupt the narrative, right? It's up to us to step in that wrong. It's our responsibility.
Kijk, so Zet gewoon een picture, Zet gewoon wijs foto's van die even van die Babbling Heads, man.
Ja, man.
I must got a thing about ancient civilizations, man. Wijs gewoon een pic foto's daar, man.
Ik kan het niet daar, bro. Zeker.
Zo kan het daar zitten, zodat het een ding is, ja.
Oh, dit is sorry.
Oh, je kan ze daarop zetten.
No, obviously.
Die ene wat ze is het South America bij die ancient ruins.
The Mayans, ja, the Mayan ruins, ja.
Okay, I think that
In
Orient
Mexico.
can see it, dude, ik in jou de guys zien het,
Bro.
ik wil die experience, ne? Ik wil Easter Island experience,
Ja.
ik wil Egypt experience, ne? Dat is een van die dingen. Nou, hoe is het eigenlijk gekomen? How did that happen, bro?
You know, I was invited to the Nobel Peace Summit in Yucatan, in Mexico. You know, because as a South African affiliate for peace building, you know, as a consultant for Peace Jam Foundation. And I was fortunate enough, to go to Yucatan and to share my story.
Yeah.
Right? Based on my book, based on the work that we do within high-risk communities. Just being there at the Mayan ruins, bro. And having heard what they have had to endure as a people, I could relate to.
Oh, wow.
In many ways.
Yeah.
First Nation. Colonizers. You know? And I think that was another shift, you know, a point in my life that just confirmed my sentiments of my purpose in life.
Yo, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
That is brilliant, dude.
Bro, you know, I'm humbled by the opportunities I have, you know. But don't get me wrong, my brother. It's hard times for me as well, having to being that change you want to see in your family. You can be how brilliant externally, how brilliant in the field.
Yeah.
You know, you can be how successful in mentoring other people outside your homes, but when it hits home, people close to you, it's kind of hard to change your own. Because now the labels come up, now the trauma comes up. Sy wil bitter as ek is.
Yeah.
Ne? Sy hou vir jou kwaai. Ne? Sy is nog jong. That kind of thing, man. And I'm still on the journey of trying to understand also. Yeah. Hurting people really hurt people, man. And we're so deeply rooted in how we view ourselves and the environment in terms of our own frame of reference, that limitation. But we don't want to speak about our limitations because we don't want to be too vulnerable. We don't want to show that window that we don't see, but others see.
Yeah.
If we can go to the next person, bro, man, what did I say to hurt you, man? What did I do? Oh, sorry, bro, man. Neighbors, brother.
Yeah.
In our communities, just one word that triggered that neighbor's trauma. And you get 20, 30 years, 40 years intergenerational trauma. Where that neighbor nurture their kids to hate you.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Dan koos hy nog vir Liverpool en Manchester United. The duality, the power of duality. Nah, you on this side of the fence. So, sy is so, sy is van die blokke.
Yeah.
Dis ek, man. Or you in the paying houses. Do you see that competition?
Yeah.
It's always trying to polarize, man. We perpetuate that, even though we don't even see it.
But now you're speaking about, like, you're talking also to the ego.
Yes, sir.
The ego.
The false illusion of self.
So one of our other guests came in here and he spoke to the death of the ego.
Yeah.
And I'm looking into that also a lot nowadays. Just like letting go of your ego, like just like in a lot of circumstances, just let the ego go, like. And I don't think I have a grasp on it 100% yet, but it's something to work towards.
Yeah, bro. It's a lifelong process, bro. The ego is part of who I am. Nah, it's a part of who we are. Our mind, we governed by this, man. You know? Because there's compartments here, bro. And you're going to pull out the compartments anytime you're going to feel threatened. And have the sense of fear and house of fear in our communities. You're going to either try and keep up with the Joneses or nurture your kids to be better than your neighbor without you even knowing. But you're saying that you want the best for your kids. You know, the contradictions, the stuff is a long way to go. It's a lot to chip. It's a lot to chip away, brah, to mold a new you. And that happens when you're on your back, surrounded by flowers, 6 feet under, brother. So live life now, man.
Yeah, it's a work towards, man. I
Yeah,
think if you acknowledge it, if you're cognizant of these things, of the ego,
Yeah.
you just into situations and check, maybe my ego's taking over, but
Yeah.
just let it go.
Yes, sir.
Just let it go of that ego, or like you said earlier, it's just like, just be you, like be liquor. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't want to be somebody else or be something you're not, maybe.
True, brah. And you know, consciousness plays a major role in that. What hip hop teaches us.
Yeah.
The
Being
knowing of self.
self-conscious, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Self.
And if you're
Looking
conscious, if
inside.
you're here right now and your mind don't drift to your past or your future of what you want, the want and need, confusion, the want and need, and you're here right now, the ego can't dominate, brah. Only when you allow to speak your ego that aligns with what you want to say to override somebody's opinion or somebody's presence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's deep shit, my bro.
Yeah.
Deep shit. And it's fascinating as well.
I like it.
How do you manage to stay motivated? Because I know at one stage a couple of years ago, they actually broke into your place and
Yeah.
saw some stuff. The very community you're working so hard
Yeah.
to uplift and to enlighten comes and takes from you and yours what you built, like took years to build. So how do you manage to like still stay motivated and still give love back to the community that has done it to you?
Love conquers all, man.
Okay.
You know, that lady that I nurtured, that lady that's been sat around my table and ate with us. Hy was in my toilet and onze kamers en lekker, man. He had a lot of potential, but I knew that he had a story, bro. And he shared his story.
Yeah.
And he had it hard. But that doesn't justify his actions. But because I couldn't be there all the time, because a lot of people that he attached to broke his heart, especially his father. Right? And because of, there was a lot of him, man, that I have to step into the roles. And he found a way to try and hurt me.
Yeah.
But I understood why, man.
Yeah.
Right? I forgave him, man. You know? And he understands that, but hy man kan nie vir my in one kyk. He's always dodging me, but I don't want that, man.
Yeah.
You know? But today, he's trying, but he's still a notorious gangster. But he's using that as a means of suppressing that thing that he's trying to dodge.
Yeah.
But he knows my door is always open.
That's cut deep, bro.
Yeah, bro, but it's hard.
Can you talk about your book, man? Can you explain to me what your book is about?
Yeah.
Cool, good question,
Show
bro.
it on
That's
camera.
everything I spoke about,
Lift
man.
it up there for us.
This is everything I spoke about. This is just basically the biography of a so-called colored seed, man. The biography, the narrative, the hurt, the pain, the despair. I speak about the forced removals and what that have done. You know, the crossover from being removed from the places you love to having to settle in a place unknown and build a new identity and life.
Yeah.
You know, and how you've been stripped from your identity and how we can find sensible solution to be more, to do more, and to live more in the context of joy and happiness. But still, I contradict myself a lot, man. Because I'm healing, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to disappoint you.
It's a
And
process.
exactly, it's a process. But sometimes we put people on the pedestal because what you say or you amplify and trying to maintain that. But also the way to do it for me personally is to show, nah, man, I'm vulnerable, man. I'm struggling, man. I'm battling.
I like it.
Let's heal together.
I like your message because you love your message, like, and you speak in your truth, like you say. Listen, here, you might come from like a hurt background, and now you've implemented things. You look inside yourself. You've been introspective. You attacking the ego. You letting go of your ego, and now you're coming out to the other side. And even though you've done all these things, you might still there's still hurdles to overcome.
Yes, sir.
Like and we all have that. Like and yeah, that's a dope way to look at it. Man. It's like makes everybody not feel like swak. Like
Yes,
everybody
sir.
is like, hey, I can do this, man.
Nah, we can, my bro, and we will, brother.
Yeah.
If we choose to, will. I'm still here to build a good relationship with my parents and my siblings. You know?
Yeah.
Now I can't sit here and tell you I'm doing it right. I'm not. You know, I still have beef with my sibling. But when we get together, we have it. But there's triggers, man.
Yeah.
Just to focus on your book, what is it called and where is it available for people to buy?
Thank you for marketing this. This is not a paid promotion. This is my fourth book, my man.
Yeah,
Self-published. You will find it on my website, www.capeflatskarma.com. Information on the work I do in terms of my racial equity work and anti-bias educational work as well. And this speaks truth to power, man, and not pussyfooting around
Yeah.
what is really the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a company that I run, and I self-publish under the auspices of my company, coaching and mentoring company.
Okay, cool. Tell me, look, there's very few people on the Cape Flats that have self-published, Emil being one of them. But he's also opened doors for other artists like Black Pearl to bring out or bring her truth out.
Quite.
And you've also done this independently on your own. Do you find that it's harder for you to market your product based knowing that you're going up against the majority of publishing houses being owned by Media24, by Naspers? And are you bringing the alternative narrative to heal? Have you found that it's harder for you now to get your product out?
Very hard, brother. We're going against Goliath here. The capitalist system is still well oiled.
Yeah.
It's time for us to tell our stories
Exactly.
and get our people to invest in our stories and have the economy circulating within our communities.
Exactly.
Stop the self-hate. Stop competing. Support your own.
Yeah.
Because if you are building a 20 million rand house in Constantia and still choose to stay in the room or kitchen of your council flat, then there's something wrong, man. You know what I mean? Let us mobilize as a people to help that person register, find ways to become financially literate,
Yeah.
set up that pillars in our communities, man. You know, go to the people, to the middle class, because there's middle class in our communities that can afford shit.
Yeah.
And you need to engage them and get them involved in giving back also now, man. You know what I mean? Like I say, man, brah, we always giving out externally, man.
Yeah.
And we make ourselves swak, man.
Yeah, I said that a lot of things like in Ocean View in Point, I mean, I know my mochi's from Ocean View.
Oh, we.
Well
done, brother.
The Lamb family.
Yeah.
So now, but you also like see within that dynamic, you see people once they attain certain degrees, etc., and they move out instead of remaining. Because now, I mean, I was in Ocean View last week Sunday, and for me it was strange because I used to travel this route, like go visit my mochi, whatever, stay the weekend, Monday morning, vang a train back. But what it is when I came there in 2014 to what it is now, with 14-year-old gunmen running around, I can't even fucking walk the line.
Yeah. Nah, dangerous, bro.
Yeah. And also just want to say a shout out, what's that brother's name at the Podfather Rasta? I know when always
Sean America.
Sean America.
Yeah.
Bro, that was one awesome dude. He was a character. I remember being I think it was in Kailicha at the sports complex when government was
You're talking about Trigger, actually, Aiden
Trigger.
Adams. Yes.
Bruh, that was the first time I saw somebody
Go
against government.
Yeah.
And he vertelde him kakademe, bro. And one day on my way to line to go buy inches, whatever, I found him. He was busy painting a mural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bruh. And then it was very sad to hear about his passing. I'm not sure what the circumstances were. But I mean, those are gems in the community that keep giving back.
Yeah.
You spoke about earlier, off air, you spoke about Khaki doing stuff.
Yeah.
Khaki is consistently
Yes.
releasing music, hosting jams. Luke does the Easter egg drives and
No
stuff
doubt.
like that. So there's people in the community constantly uplifting, constantly giving back. The likes of Alvin at Arts Vibration,
Yeah.
etc. But it's not always appreciated and it's not always seen. There's always like, hulle het geld, hulle pocketing money. But kyk, the brass consistently doing it.
Yep.
These people, individuals, are going out, getting donations, going to the likes of Into Foods, formerly Compass Bakery, hoeveel mense van ou weet daar gewerk, etc. So. Ze gooi akkeltjes weer, broer. Ze gooi me af.
Sign language going
Sign
on,
language.
yeah.
But yeah, what I wanted to say is like, there's a lot of good within the communities. There's a klomp afbreekers, there's a klomp smokkelaars. Ze weet nie waar huise daar what's it now called? Stonehaven? Stoneview, whatever, Mountain View.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things happen within the community, but the community smart it down. The community also has the power to mobilize, and like you said, there's 300 churches, but nobody's fucking locking arms to say, look, kijk, die kak is nog genoeg.
Away.
It's like losse merchants, ik ga die nog namen noemen, maar ik weet waar je blijft. But there is a way to move them out.
There is, brother.
And if the
Daar's 'n
community
rede
stands,
hoekom die system daar is.
Yeah.
To destabilize, it's been happening hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Because once we find our power, the system crumbles.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they are using us to fight us.
Yeah.
But transformation is happening, bro.
Oh,
We're becoming consciously aware of this kak.
It's open when once a voice te hard raak, en in the Oost community, it's not in America, once a independent voice te hard raak, then something just happens.
Yeah.
That's weird for me, man.
Daar's nou 'n skandaal wat uitkom.
You know what I'm saying?
Tokkies. It's just like anything to discredit you and the work that you've been doing. So no matter the mountain of good you've done, like,
Doesn't matter.
Tuck lolly found in Earl's bag.
Yeah. Daar's die focus.
Daar's die focus.
Someone know,
And they're quick to jump and they
Yeah.
post, we love it.
They're waiting. They're waiting in the rear.
Yeah.
They're always waiting in the rear.
And the crab in bucket situation is so real within our community. It's like we can't wait to pull that person down.
There's a reason why. You feel me?
Yeah.
There's a reason why, because we are brilliant and a powerful people, man.
Yeah.
kijk wat Fadil doen. Fadil nou dinge se nou word hy sommer court cases dinge se
Yeah.
van die government af.
But that's the way to systematically attack you.
To
It's like,
silence you basically. It's so fucked up. It's actually messed up.
gooi je dood met lawyers mee, bro. That's literally what they do. Is like, you're going to be so caught up in that whole thing that you can't go and advocate and try and fight for change.
Yeah.
Because now, let's speel veel mee, bro.
Yeah.
And they got the resources. They got moose a lot of
Daar's die,
resources.
bro. And the privilege and power will be always in effect. You know? There's still whiteness, there's still privilege and power, there's still white privilege.
Yeah.
You know, there's still those that's in the bubble, even amongst ourselves. You know? And we will always still bow down to the white savior mentality because the entitlement mentality is still alive in our communities.
Yeah.
But that being said, no, there's people like you.
Yes, sir. There's
know what I'm
people
saying?
like you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? So we need to focus on the positive also, man.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
we see the struggle.
Yeah.
But we've come a long way.
Yeah.
If you think about it, as ek kan dit nie so ver dink, but wanneer ek nou begin 'n consciousness begin kry oor hoe die system werk,
Yeah.
was in the 90s. So if I think about the 90s and now, we've come a long way, dude. Colored mense staan
definitely.
baie meer by mekaar as wat ons eerste by gestaan het. En let me not even make it a color thing.
Yeah.
The poor
Yeah.
staan baie meer met social media, het ons meer 'n voice gekry.
Yeah.
Okay. En so staan by mekaar, maar ons sien dit, ons wys dit nou vir mekaar, like kyk jy doen. En nie net die hardship sê. Ek meen ons lag vir mekaar se jokes ook nou. Dis gesien die colored memes wat uitkom en
Yeah.
we showing community moment. If you know the rest kyk en jy kyk net wat gebeur nou op social media, op TikTok en soos hy nou vir ewig gesê dis 'n colored TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So I tend to try and focus. I know that the hardships are there, but I try to focus on the positive also, man. And give more to that energy also, man.
Yeah, that's very important. I agree with you. And compassion and empathy, man. It's a powerful tool, you know, to facilitate, especially for yourself and others.
But I think the tide is busy changing on
changing,
the political and social
Changing.
realms. So to say that you can see this now in certain ward elections, etc. The traction is changing. The monster is starting to lose its foothold.
Yes, sir.
And they're going to fight tooth and nail. But kyk, ons sien al klaar the smoke and mirror shit. Having our people of color in puppet positions. Werk mee vir ons, hè?
Yes, sir.
I think that was shown in Delft, no?
Ja.
Dinge se die CCC
Ja.
in
Patriotic Alliance also.
Eldorado, is het Eldorado?
Elders, ja. Elders.
Met Greyton.
Greyton, ja.
Hy het ook die dinge se die pakke gery kante.
Ja.
So it's dope. It's dope to see the change and witnessing it in real time. And
I mean, as the third largest population group in South Africa, we should start having a say and
collective. Yeah.
Over the
As a
Western
collective.
Cape, at least, like you should have a better say.
I just wanna disagree with Mr. Fingaz there for 1 second because, like, for my ek dink jy ons het so baie saam.
The system will is the system.
the system of silence.
Like
The Matrix.
Dat ons nou so baie saam staan soos ons back in the day saam gestaan het. I mean apartheid. It obviously there was no boundaries, man. There was no kyk jy ons het saam gestaan en klaar, man.
Yeah.
We need to change the system. I don't think that we standing together as we did back in the day, man.
But I don't think that, this is my opinion, I don't think that us standing together made that much of a change. It was the global collective.
Nah, you can't say that.
I
you can't
personally
say
think that.
us
I don't
standing-
think, I don't,
Yo,
This is my
there was in
opinion.
marches in the
exactly,
streets.
No, I'm not
that's your
saying-
opinion,
I'm-
and
that's-
you're entitled to it.
I'm entitled to it because it's not really us that change it. My
The
opinion,
sanctions.
the sanctions helped
International
emotional,
sanctions,
and it's not. They had to change. Apartheid wasn't profitable, so they had to change. They knew they had to change it. This was like a favor was gedoen het. They knew that the change was coming.
It wasn't a favor,
So
but,
wasn't a
but you
favor.
can't say it was.
No,
it's
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it wasn't so sustainable. They knew the change was coming, so they had to change.
But they didn't actually change.
Yeah, they just.
yeah.
They just. They
Literally-
toegemaakt.
They
So-
just
they
gave
just,
a blind.
Changed a couple of titles.
And I'm
moved the
not
money
taking
away,
in
etc.
no way, shape, or form am I taking away from people like actually Creel and
Colin
alle
Williams,
mensen in
Robert Waterbeach.
allemaal wat gemaakt op Robin. I'm not taking that away. All I'm saying is, I see the bigger picture really. You know what I'm saying? I see people marching in London. I see the sanctions. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's maar al wat ek. I saw the movies that came out. Lethal Weapon 2 wat hulle gepraat het wat hulle
Oh yeah, they said South Africans, yeah.
wat hulle hy plat gemaak het
Ja.
part van them of so I see that as well. Anyway,
Likewise.
are we gonna let's wrap it up. No, wrap it up.
Oh, we? So yeah. Well, thank you for your words of inspiration, and we wish you well in your work, both with Peace Jam within the community of Ocean View and the greater beyond, and for amplifying us as colored people, as humans on the Cape Flats. Like I said, the last bastion of the last settlement that was created out of the Forced Removals Act. But yeah, keep representing Peace Jam, yourself, your family. Keep addressing those traumas. Keep teaching us ways how to heal. Because this is very important in the communities we're working with across the Cape Flats and the broader South Africa. Things can only get better from here.
Yeah.
So yeah, my bro, from me, what you always say, one thing is always stuck with me throughout the years. Your greeting was always much love.
Salute, bro. Much love, brother, man. Thank you guys for having me and continue the quiz, man.
Yeah, you also instilled a few things in me. You gave me a few things to think about. Attack that ego, you know.
All good,
Dit is
brother.
nog 'n paar dinge so.
Oh wait, so yeah, from the Babbling Heads podcast, this is
Dj
the
Fingaz.
base 187.
Dj Fingaz. Sorry.
JoeZone.
Salute!
Nizzle!
Nis Earl.
This Earl. Peace.
I actually gave you. I put the media on the wrong laptop. By the way, you live and you learn.
Yo, Chance, thank you, man.
Salutas.
Have a blessed one, man. No?
Yeah.
Why, I'm a phone call away. You got my contact details.
Definitely.
You know? Get you guys involved in
The Babbling Heads podcast.